Uptown really was, a lot of musicians, a lot of artists, a lot of students, and music lovers populated that area. People would walk to the bar.
Walk in, go down to the office, come up, and the same 8 people are still sitting there that, the rest of the crowd has changed, but there's 8 people that were there when I went in at noon, kind of thing. There was a strange assortment of older regulars. I'm sure people have talked to you about Stretch and Steve Strelo, and they were just always around, always really loyal to the bar. Sort of could fit in with the afternoon lunch crowd, and then they'd still be there at 11 o'clock when Super Suckers are on stage, and it didn't seem to faze them at all. It was just, that was their hang.
The people that spent time there, starting from when the bar would open till it closed, was this wide array of old Vietnam vets and people from who had survived the Depression, all the way through to young punk rockers and, grunge kids and artists and junkies.
People met there and fell in love there and had just and had amazing conversations in those booths.
That kind of diversity and was encouraged there, and it was natural. It didn't feel forced.
We played there so often that my car would get hit regularly in the parking lot. And this is the cool part about the Uptown Bar in Minnesota, is people would either leave a note on my car, or one night a guy waited around. He had his girlfriend on the back of his motorcycle. They waited around until I came out of the bar, at like 1:45 or something like that. And he had gotten down the license plate of the guy that had creamed the back of my car, and I was able to, in Jim Rockford style, go and hunt the guy down and get him to pay to fix my car, it was just thanks to this one guy.
There was so many people that they became part of the family because they were either started going out with somebody that worked there, or they played in a band. Most of them played in a band, or they ended up working there themselves, or they just spent enough time down there that we all knew them.
A lot of the bands that stayed there, that played there, they knew there were 2 things they could count on when they came to the Uptown Bar, is they could get a hot meal, and almost always if a band needed somewhere to stay, someone who was working would let them stay. And I can't count how many bands slept on my living room floor in those years that I was there. At the end of the night, they'd say, "Can you guys direct us to a cheap motel somewhere?" And someone would go, "Oh, you can stay at our place."
I would honestly, truthfully say probably the first time I went to the Uptown Bar was to eat. It's a great breakfast joint, You go in there in the morning, get a Bloody Mary, and try and deal with the residual alcohol from the night before with some grease.
When everyone thinks about the Uptown, they think of the Bloody Marys.
Keeping the glass, that whole fun thing. How many Uptown? Who doesn't have an Uptown? One. What am I talking about? Like at least a dozen Uptown glasses in there, and they last forever.
I liked a lot of the. This is so horrible. I liked the cheddar cheese skillet, which with that terrible cheese sauce on top of it with the broccoli, because I loved broccoli, and the cheese sauce was just kind of the icing on the top. I loved that, and our soups sometimes were pretty good. Sometimes they were pretty lousy, but sometimes we had pretty good soup, and I loved that bread.
And toast. Toast is always key. You got to have toast.
If everyone was out on a Friday night, that's where they came and had breakfast the next day. And that built that business bigger than it had been.
I don't think I really ever ate at the Uptown, I because I didn't drink and because I didn't really go there the same way that a lot of my friends did, I don't think I ever ate there. Maybe once,
The burgers used to be really good here. I haven't had one here in a super long time. Number 5, breakfast, really great, a little with the bacon. And I did always really like the dinner salad. So just a plain dinner salad.
any time of the day or night with that giant plate of hash browns that are so bad for you.
They better take the stoves. I don't know anything about cooking, but they better take the, the greasy tops to the stoves with them so they can, just get that part in.
If anybody knew that place, you knew how much food was produced in a kitchen the size of a postage stamp. Like you can't imagine the volume of food that they did in this tiny, tiny, tiny little kitchen. And the guys back there, the stuff they had to put up with as far as the volume and the heat and, the crabbiness of the waitresses yelling at them through the window and, the managers barking at them. And you could look back there and you could just see the look on their face was just complete exasperation. But, they always carried through. Those guys were good.
Ambiance was fine. It wasn't so grunty that you never wanted to go back, but it wasn't so nice that you never wanted to go back, if you know what I'm saying.
And it was a little bit of an easier hang than the entry was. Although the entry was a great place to go down and see music, and it was fun. It was fun to be there. It was always fun to be at First Avenue or the entry, but it was easier and cheaper usually to go to the Uptown. And you also knew it was easier to sort of walk in and know you were going to run into people you knew, as opposed to the entry or First Avenue, because you'd have to sort of look for people a little bit more, down there.
Everybody felt welcome there, and it was a place, the Uptown Bar, because it was set up so you had the music here and then sort of a lounge next to it in the bar. You could hang out, visit with people, eat if you felt like it, or drink, or whatever it was that you were doing. So, many was the night that I'd find myself visiting with whomever, Gary Louris or Tommy Stinson, or whoever was in the outer part of the bar. So it was, besides being a place that you heard music, it was a hang.
It was a great bar, beyond the fact that it has this legacy as a great breeding ground for alternative rock or whatever, or country, alt country and all that. It was a great bar. You could, gather around, and I remember my brother and I just standing in that little doorway, and the Ass Ponies were rocking it, and I think it was either the Vikings or the Twins. Some game was on, and it was like, the home team won, and everyone just went, ah, and then there was the Ass Ponies, So it was a great bar beyond all that.
I'm going to be so sad when it's, I don't have that connection to the place anymore, but just that those memories are, it's all going to be gone. That venue is going to be gone.
Any way that you look at it, any club that is able to survive and support the Twin Cities musician and make the focus of their entertainment the Twin Cities musician for as long as they have is going to be sorely missed.
There's a lot of places like that. They're not that memorable, but that's definitely got some ghosts or something.